Hello, this is Michael Paul with New Orleans Scottish Rite College. Today's video deals with reputation, and that would be how we see others and how others see us. We live in a world today where conflicting opinions are the norm. It's not always one opinion against another. It can be one opinion against 10 different opinions, all spoken loudly and with all the authority in the world. Social media is filled with every imaginable view on every imaginable question. Actual provable facts are often lost in a sea of "I think." Many times in the area of reputation, the majority rules. Mass opinion often controls a reputation. If you plan on going to a restaurant, but the reviews are mostly negative, then you will probably go somewhere else to eat. You don't know for a fact that the restaurant is below standards, but based on its reputation, you keep looking. Why take the chance? A couple of years ago, I overheard two Masons talking about reputation. One of them said that since his reputation is decided by others, he never worries about having a good or bad reputation. I thought about what he said. Because he seemed to be saying that we cannot control the thoughts or opinions of others, I somewhat agreed with him. But then I realized that everyone's reputation is important, and it does matter. Our reputation is created by what we say and do, or at least what others understand of what we say or do. Our actions and words define what others believe of our nature. It is the perception that others have of us. It becomes who we are and what we stand for, at least in the eyes of others. If we choose to live like a hermit, then maybe our reputation is not all that important. But if we live in society, then our reputation will determine how others view and treat us. Yes, our reputation does matter. So, I have a question for you. When others think about you, what do they think? Of course, when I say others, I don't mean the troublemakers, gossips, or those with any sort of axe to grind. I mean the average person, the one who has no reason to be unfair or lie to you or about you. What do they think of you? It's an important question. I believe that one of the most difficult things to do is to try to get into anyone else's head to understand what they think about anything. When you try to understand what anyone thinks or believes about you, it becomes a particularly personal matter, and the task becomes even more difficult. For that matter, what do we really think about ourselves? Let's go outside of Masonry for a bit to maybe take a look at the situation from the outside. Much of what we think about ourselves, as well as others, is almost hardwired into our brains in ways that are often very difficult to understand. Many times, what we think of others is based on various clues and actions taken by them. We may not actually think as much as we just feel and believe. If we observe someone doing something, we judge it, and often instantly, and it's based on preset patterns that our brain recognizes. We may not even consciously be aware of what we're doing. We may see something, evaluate it, and without thought, reach a conclusion. A while back, I saw a documentary on hippopotamuses. It showed two large male hippos walking up to each other with a female watching from the side. The two males were going to fight for the hand of the lady hippo. Slowly they approached each other, and then they both opened their mouths wide. That was it. The fight was over. The one who opened his mouth the widest won. The one with the small mouth turned around and walked off. It's possible that the hippo with the smaller mouth was stronger, younger, fitter, and in every way imaginable, a better match for the female. But something is wired in the brain of all hippos that the ones with the larger mouth are more dominant. The big mouth wins. That's it. It's how their brains are wired. It's how they see themselves and others. The one with the smaller mouth saw that the other had a larger mouth, and he felt that he must be superior to him. The one with the larger mouth felt that he was the superior one simply because he had a bigger mouth. By that one action, they both believed something about themselves and the other. But humans are a bit different. We can think and reason. we can question ourselves and observe results. How do we know that we can trust the readings or impressions of others? How do we know that insecurity or ego will not affect how someone is evaluating us? We don't really know. That's the problem. The hippo with the smaller mouth did not know that he was inferior. He just believed it. All he knew was that his mouth was not as large as the other hippo. Both acted in a way that was instinctive, and their brains were wired to accept whatever result they observed. They didn't stop to analyze the result. They just moved on once the result was discovered. Humans sometimes question and debate results. We may wonder if we had taken different actions, if the results would differ, or maybe the result means something different than we first thought. We have calculating brains, and we have the ability to alter perceived results by changing the situations. Our intelligence can sometimes work in a way that can frustrate the daylights out of us. I believe that this is why we so often hear that our reputation does not matter. The task of trying to objectively understand how others think of us, with all the possible outcomes available, is just too difficult. There are too many options and situations that we can invent. So we give up trying to understand it. We decide that it doesn't matter. But in Freemasonry, does it matter that much as to what others think of us? Here's the thing. Being a Mason is something of having a dual responsibility. Our actions reflect not only on ourselves, but on the whole of Freemasonry. It is because Freemasons have long held the reputation of being honest pillars of society that when a Mason is seen as acting dishonorable, it reflects not only on just that Mason, but on all of Freemasonry. Fair or unfair, our actions do play a role in the reputation of Freemasonry itself. But again, if we are uncertain of how we are being evaluated by others, then how do we know anything about our actual reputation or how others see us? It is not impossible that we are hurting ourselves and the whole of Freemasonry without realizing it. The problem that we have to figure out is our own reputation. We want to determine if we need to adjust anything in how we act or things we say. We want to do this for ourselves as well as Masonry. Let's look at just how we might be able to solve this problem. While we might not know exactly how others view us, we can gain insight by taking a look at others. We can stand on the outside and watch the reaction and maybe even overhear comments about others to determine the other guy's reputation. The bottom line is that if someone has earned the reputation of being a jerk, study how they act and don't act that way. I know that this may sound like an oversimplification, but it really does have merit. Far too often we need to take a good long look at ourselves and compare it with the words and actions of others, and be as honest as possible. It doesn't always have to be difficult. We all know a jerk when we see one, but what about us? How are we seen? Are we sometimes trying to be funny, kidding around and acting like a jerk? We have to be open to the fact that our actions or words may sometimes not be received as we intended. Of course, acting like a jerk doesn't mean that we are, in fact, a jerk, but we are talking about reputation, not reality. We are only talking about how others might view us based on their understanding of our words and actions. While we have no ability to control the thoughts of others, we have total control over our own words and actions. If we step back and see that what we do or say might be giving us a reputation that we don't want, there are things that we can do to reverse a bad reputation. The first thing that we need to do is to be totally honest with ourselves. Is a bad reputation justified? If we can say, without question, that our reputation is not valid, then it will go away or not be accepted by those who know us. Fair people will not accept a bad, unjustified reputation. Those who may try to give a bad reputation usually die by their own sword. Their actions are sooner or later discovered. They will be forced to answer for their damaging actions. But let's say that you did make some mistakes and the reputation is fair. There are still things that you can do to turn things around. If your bad reputation is based on things that you are doing or have done in the past, stop it. Stop doing whatever it is that is giving you this bad reputation. Don't do it again. Sometimes you might feel that you are being misjudged or being given a bad rap for maybe only a small percentage of your actions. But most people, unfortunately, judge by what is memorable. Look at all of your actions. Ask those close to you what might be a problem. If something you are doing can be a problem, it likely is a problem for some. Make note of it and try to change it. If you truly want to make changes in your life and want a better reputation, you can and should make the changes needed. It's not always ego that causes problems. Insecurity can create just as problematic a situation as unchecked ego. We must all understand that everything we say and do affects others. We may feel that we are unimportant and that our actions and words have little effect on others, but it is just not true. What we say may not change some policy in a business or in Masonry, but people do hear us and evaluate us with every action and word that we speak. None of us are invisible. Sometimes a bad reputation can even be created by saying things that we believe no one hears. We need to be attentive to everything that we say or do. There is a balance that we need to achieve between not caring about or being aware of how we affect others and allowing others to control our actions. Finding that balance is a positive step towards rebuilding even a bad reputation. Let's say that you only now learn that you have a less than stellar reputation within a certain group. You want to change that reputation. The time to act and begin work on changing things is now. Don't wait. We live in a social media world today where things happen quickly. Reputations can be destroyed in a matter of hours online. Acting quickly to repair a damaged reputation is essential. Of course, not everything can be corrected at once, no matter how fast we act. Let's say that you have developed the reputation of being a smart aleck. That's not how you want to be known. Yes, start now to correct that impression. Stop acting in the way that caused the problem. But you have to realize that it will take time for others to see and then to believe that this reputation is not valid. People will need to see you probably more than a few times to begin to reevaluate their opinion of you. But having the reputation of being a smart aleck or silly or even a jerk is one thing. There are other causes of a bad reputation that require other types of actions. Maybe your reputation came because of something you said or did that hurt someone. Apologize. Give a sincere, meaningful apology. Make it clear that you messed up or acted badly. Fully own your mistake and make it crystal clear that you regret your error. Then do not repeat the offense. This is the only way to begin to turn around a bad reputation earned by bad behavior. If you give only a half-hearted apology or attempt to make excuses for your actions to minimize your responsibility, then you have wasted your time. The apology will be seen as an attempt to avoid blame. Your reputation could be even further damaged. Of course, make amends whenever possible, but you have to realize that there are consequences for every action. If you, while playing around, tear a few pages out of an irreplaceable large Bible, you may not be able to undo the damage that you have created. But however possible, make it clear that you regret your careless action. Sincere and honest remorse can be felt and heard in our voices. Likewise, so can reluctant apologies or transparent excuses be seen for what they really are. In times when you have done something that has so crossed the line that there is no repairing the situation, and make amends is not possible, accept what you have done. Regardless if you do not view what you have done as all that serious, you need to accept the decision of the one who was wronged. Know when to stop. We must accept that there are sometimes the consequences of our actions result in situations that cannot be fixed. In such cases, the wronged one should have their wishes respected. Apologize, then give the desired space. There are extreme cases where individuals such as burglars or drug dealers have gone to prison for their crimes, done their time, but they did not cease making amends once they were released. After their release, they spent the rest of their lives trying to repay society for their past actions by teaching kids the dangers of drugs or teaching classes on how to better protect your homes from burglars or con artists. We may never be able to overcome the facts of the past or our actions, but we can build new reputations and lives because of our actions from today forward. This all brings us again to Freemasonry. What happens when we act badly in lodge or outside of lodge? What happens if we mess up and hurt not only our own reputations, but the reputation of Freemasonry itself? For me, one of the real dangers of a very good meal is the temptation to overeat. I do love good tasting food. Freemasonry has its own temptations. The countless degrees, offices, titles, and positions of power can be a powerful and highly attractive intoxication for too many. For those who have not attained much personal standing outside of Masonry, what is offered inside Masonry can be a great opportunity for them. Masonry can also be at risk if one does not properly understand Masonic teachings. If one in leadership damages his reputation, then not only do they damage the reputation of Freemasonry, but they put a spotlight on that damage by virtue of their position in leadership. The damage to Freemasonry is far more serious than if the same event was with a Mason who is not in leadership. If one has any degree of leadership within Masonry, and then has done something to cause disgrace to themselves and the fraternity, then they need to make serious amends. They need to recognize the error, whatever it is, own up to it, and face the music. Once we accept any leadership position, then we must maintain a good personal reputation, as we become even more responsible for the order's reputation than those who are not in leadership. We must all recognize the need to protect the reputation of Freemasonry, but those in leadership have a special responsibility. The problem sometimes for leaders is ego. Sometimes if a leader makes a mistake, ego will make him deny the existence of the error and compound the problem. But what are the consequences for one in Masonic leadership turning out to be less than expected and developing a fair and earned bad reputation? For one thing, Freemasonry gets a very bad black eye. We'll be saying to the world that we can and do put the undeserving into positions of leadership. Once that bell is rung, it cannot be unrung. But Freemasonry has far more than one Mason in leadership, past and present. What is the responsibility of other Masonic leaders when one of their own damages the reputation of Freemasonry? How should they act? What should they do? Is this a problem that they must deal with, or is it okay to just ignore it with the hope that it will go away? Leaders in Freemasonry need to be very careful in any dealings with other leaders who have done anything at all to harm the reputation of Freemasonry. If you even give the appearance of condoning or excusing bad behavior, then you could be painted with the same brush as them. Their problems become your problems. Non-Masons will rightly see you as participating in activity just as questionable as the other leaders in trouble. If you have accepted any position of leadership and you have received honors for it, then you owe something special to the fraternity. If you allow one of your own to act in any way that brings disgrace to the fraternity, then you will share in the consequences of his actions. Fair or unfair, this is the reality. Freemasonry teaches by symbols. We must understand that the premise of teaching is that there is a teacher and a student. One of the major problems that I have seen in Masonry for far too long is that we are often required to self-teach the important lessons and symbols. In the days of actual teaching of Freemasonry, and I mean the philosophy and symbols, not just the ritual, there was always a teacher instructing several students. But those days are gone, at least for now. But how do you teach yourself what you don't know? At times like these, we need to look again at Freemasonry. Masons should help each other. We should work in teams. We should use what's so often known as the buddy system. In Masonry, it's known as being our brother's keeper, always watching a brother's back while he watches yours. We must honestly and objectively watch each other, help each other. If you see your brother about to slip and do something that will damage his reputation, tell him. He will tell you if you slip. By working together, you can help each other avoid slips or repair damaged reputations. In all things, recognize that Freemasonry is, and always has been, a progressive moral science. No one expects you to achieve perfection. It's not possible. Our goal is to always try to make daily advancements, one step after another. It may not seem like much, but it is harder than you might think. It is also more important than you might think. Thank you for watching. If you like the videos, please hit the like button and subscribe to us. See you next time.